Every single day, roughly 1 out of every 3 big rigs thundering down a North American highway was built by a company you've probably never heard of. Not Ford, not GM, not some massive German conglomerate. A single family, 4 generations deep, quietly assembled a trucking empire worth over $40 billion. They built Sherman tanks for World War II, they fabricated the legs of the Space Needle, and then they swallowed 2 of the most iconic truck brands on Earth and turned them into a money printing machine that has paid a dividend every single year since 1941. Their name, Pigott. Their company, PACCAR. And the way they pulled it off? It reads like a Hollywood screenplay, full of hostile takeovers, deathbed power grabs, a lumberjack who accidentally created a legend, and the single most underrated business dynasty in American history. Buckle up, because this story is way bigger than trucks. Let's rewind to the very beginning, and I mean the very beginning. The year is 1905. Teddy Roosevelt is president. The Wright brothers flew their first plane just 2 years ago. And in the muddy, rain-soaked streets of West Seattle, a guy named William Pigott, the son of Irish immigrants, scrapes together $10,000. 10,000 bucks. That's it. That's the entire startup capital. He uses it to launch the Seattle Car Manufacturing Company. And no, they're not making automobiles. They're building railway cars, big, heavy industrial rail cars designed to haul logs through the Pacific Northwest. Now here's what you have to understand about William Pigott. This guy wasn't some Ivy League banker playing businessman. He'd worked his way up through the steel industry in Colorado and Ohio before migrating west. He genuinely believed, that his highest calling in life was providing jobs. Not getting rich, not building an empire, providing jobs. But he accidentally did all 3. Within just a few years, the business is booming. The Pacific Northwest is exploding with logging, railroad expansion, and construction. Pigott merges with a Portland-based firm called Two High Brothers in 1917, and the company gets a new name, Pacific Car and Foundry. Remember that name? It matters later. By the early 1920s, Pacific Car and Foundry is the only heavy machinery company and foundry in the entire Pacific Northwest. They're the do-to firm for industrial steel. If something massive is being built in Seattle, chances are Pacific Car poured the steel. And then William Pigott makes the worst decision of his life. In 1924, William Pigott sells a controlling interest in his company to American Car and Foundry, a massive East Coast industrial conglomerate. Why? Honestly, the details are murky. Some historians think he was getting old, looking to cash out. Others think the board pressured him. Either way, the Pigott family's connection to the company they built? Severed, just like that. William Pigott dies in 1929, the same year the stock market crashes. Now, if this were any normal story, this is where the Pigott name disappears from history. The big company swallows the small one. The founder's legacy fades. End of story. But this is not a normal story because William Pigott had a son. His name was Paul Pigott, and Paul was furious. See, Paul had grown up inside that company. He'd worked there as a kid, sorting nuts and bolts at the Renton plant during summers. When the board voted to sell to American Car in 1924, Paul, still a minority stockholder, cast the single dissenting vote. He was the one guy who said no. And for the next decade, while the Great Depression crushed the American economy, while Pacific Car and Foundry became, in the words of one historian, a pile of rust with 125 employees, Paul Pigott waited. He waited and he planned. Then in 1934, 10 years after his father lost control, Paul Pigott bought back a major interest in the company from American Car and Foundry. He didn't just reclaim his family's business, he staged a comeback that would reshape American industry for the next century. Let me say that again, the son bought back the company his father lost. If that doesn't give you chills, I don't know what will. But Paul had a problem, a big one. The company was nearly dead. The Depression had gutted demand for railroad cars. Pacific Car was hemorrhaging money, and Paul needed something, anything, to save it. He found 2 things. The first was winches. Under Paul's leadership, Pacific Car developed the Carco line of power winches for logging tractors. It sounds boring, but it kept the lights on. That winch division would eventually become the largest industrial winch manufacturer on the planet. But the second thing Paul found, that was war. When France fell to Nazi Germany in 1940, the United States started frantically gearing up for war. and the government came knocking on PACCAR and Foundry's door in Renton, Washington. Here's where this story goes from business drama to full-blown war epic. PACCAR didn't just contribute to the war effort. They transformed overnight into a weapons factory. They started making components for Boeing B-17 bombers. They fabricated steel for brand new defense plants. And then came the big one, Sherman tanks. PACCAR and Foundry produced 926 M4A1 Sherman tanks between 1942 and 1943. They were the only Sherman tank manufacturer on the entire West Coast. And here's the kicker, they charged less per tank than any other manufacturer in the country. Paul Pigott ran the operation with the efficiency of a man who'd grown up inside a foundry. The plant had everything it needed in-house. The casting facilities, the heavy machinery, the skilled workforce. But it gets even crazier. After Sherman production ended, PACCAR started building something called the M26 tank transporter. Military guys know this as the Dragon Wagon, a massive recovery vehicle designed to haul disabled tanks off the battlefield. It became one of the most famous military vehicles of the entire war. And if that wasn't enough, PACCAR also produced one of the most mysterious weapons ever built, the T-28 Super Heavy Tank, an absolute beast of a machine that the Army later managed to straight up lose. Like, they literally lost it. They found it years later rusting in a field. But that's a story for another video. Oh, and during all this, Paul Pigott also bought a shipyard, Everett Pacific Shipbuilding and Dry Dock Company, because apparently building tanks for the Army wasn't enough. Now, here's the pivot point. The moment everything changes, because while Paul Pigott was running a war machine, he was also thinking about what comes after the war. And what came after the war was trucks. In 1945, with the war winding down, Paul Pigott made the move that would define his family's legacy for the next 80 years. He bought Kenworth Motor Truck Company. Now, Kenworth was already a legend in its own right. Founded in 1923 by Harry Kent and Edgar Worthington, whose names were literally smashed together to create Kenworth. The company was a Seattle-based truck manufacturer with a reputation for building incredibly tough, customizable rigs. But here's the thing most people don't realize about Kenworth in 1945. They were small. In their second year of business, they'd sold just 80 trucks. They were a niche player, building custom trucks for loggers, oil field operators, and haulers who needed something the big manufacturers wouldn't build. Paul Pigott saw what nobody else saw. He didn't want a mass-market truck brand. He wanted a premium truck brand. He wanted the Rolls-Royce of big rigs. And Kenworth was exactly that. Under PACCAR's ownership, Kenworth exploded. They opened a Canadian division in 1956. They pioneered the raised roof sleeper cab, the thing that lets truckers actually live inside their rigs. And in 1961, they launched the Kenworth W900, a model so good, so perfectly designed, that it's still in production today, making it one of the longest continuous production runs of any vehicle in automotive history. Think about that. A truck model designed during the Kennedy administration is still being built and sold in the 2020s. That's not just a truck, that's a monument. But Paul Pigott wasn't done. Not even close. Because 13 years after swallowing Kenworth, he was about to consume another legend. And this story, this one starts with a frustrated lumberjack and a Cadillac. Okay, I need you to picture this scene. It's 1934, a tiny town called Morton, Washington, population 750. The Great Depression is crushing this place. People are broke, desperate, hopeless. And then, one day, a tall, rangy stranger pulls into town in a Cadillac. His name is Theodore Alfred Peterman, Al to everyone who knows him. He's a lumberman, a plywood manufacturer, and he's got a problem. See, Al Peterman owns timberland in Morton and plywood mills in Tacoma. But getting logs from the forest to the mill, it's a nightmare. In the 1930s, most logs moved by river, horse, or steam tractor. Slow, expensive, unreliable. Peterman looked at the growing automobile industry and had an idea that sounds obvious now but was almost radical at the time. What if he just built trucks specifically designed to haul logs? He started by buying surplus military trucks and ripping them apart, rebuilding them from scratch, inventing new gear-driven systems, developing safer brake drums, turning hunks of military surplus into purpose-built logging machines. By 1938, Peterman was ready to go big. He bought the failing Fagioli Motor Company out of Oakland, California, a bankrupt truck manufacturer, for just $50,000. 50 grand for an entire factory and all its equipment. He renamed it the new name Peterbilt. And here's a detail that I absolutely love. The name Peterbilt didn't come from the trucking industry at all. It came from a line of wood doors that Peterman manufactured at one of his lumber facilities. Even the early trucks had plywood interiors, a direct connection to Peterman's lumber roots. In its first year, Peterbilt built just 14 trucks. Peterman's goal was 100 trucks a year. Not 1,000, not 10,000, 100. He wanted quality, not quantity. He sent his engineers directly to truck drivers and asked them, "What do you need? What do you want? What's broken about the trucks you're using now?" And the drivers told him, and Peterman listened. And that's why Peterbilt trucks became legendary, because they were built by a guy who actually talked to the people using them. But here's the tragedy. Al Peterman died of cancer in 1944. He was just 51 years old. He got to enjoy his creation for only about 5 years. After his death, his wife Ida sold the company to 7 employees who'd worked alongside Peterman. They kept building, they kept growing, and Peterbilt became one of the most respected names in heavy-duty trucking. But there was a ticking clock, because Ida Peterman still owned the land the factory sat on, and in 1958 she decided to sell the property. The Peterbilt owners had a choice: build a brand new factory somewhere else, or sell the whole company. They sold, and guess who was buying? Pacific Car and Foundry swooped in and purchased Peterbilt Motors Company in 1958. Same year, they also grabbed Dart Truck Company, which built heavy off-highway dump trucks. Now stop and think about what just happened. A single company, still controlled by the Pigott family, now owned both Kenworth and Peterbilt, the two most prestigious names in American trucking, under one roof. And here's the genius part. They didn't merge them. They didn't rebrand them. They kept Kenworth and Peterbilt as separate competing brands. Each one maintained its own identity, its own dealership network, its own loyal customer base. They were sister companies and marketplace rivals at the same time. This is the business equivalent of owning both Coke and Pepsi. You literally cannot lose. Oh, and while they were busy dominating the trucking industry, Pacific Car was also doing other things, like fabricating the steel legs for Seattle's Space Needle for the 1962 World's Fair, and providing structural steel for the Grand Coulee Dam's third powerhouse, and, wait for it, helping build the original World Trade Center in New York City. This company had its fingerprints on some of the most iconic structures in America, and almost nobody knows about it. But the story's not over, because Paul Pigott's health was failing. In 1960, Paul Pigott was diagnosed with a brain tumor. He died in 1961, the same year the Kenworth W900 launched. He never got to see just how massive his vision would become. But the Pigott family didn't let go. Paul's son, Charles Pigott, became CEO in 1967. Under Charles, the company, now officially renamed PACCAR in 1972, grew from a regional powerhouse into a global corporation. Annual sales soared past $4 billion. The company went international, expanding Kenworth into Mexico, Australia, and beyond. And here's a detail that tells you everything about how PACCAR operated. Unlike competitors who owned massive manufacturing plants and made their own engines, transmissions, and components, PACCAR's trucks were essentially assembled from parts made by other companies: Cummins, Eaton, Caterpillar, Rockwell International. Kenworth and Peterbilt trucks were custom assembled, not mass-produced. This was brilliant for 2 reasons. First, it meant PACCAR could offer insane levels of customization. Every truck could be built to a buyer's exact specifications. And second, it meant PACCAR didn't need huge capital investments in manufacturing facilities. When demand dropped, they could scale down production without being crushed by overhead costs. It's the reason PACCAR survived recessions that killed other truck makers. Then came the 4th generation. Mark Pigott, Charles's son, great-grandson of founder William, took over as CEO in 1997. Under Mark's leadership, PACCAR delivered a 1,700% total return to shareholders. Let me say that number again, 1,700%. 4 generations, 1 family, continuous profit, and a dividend every single year since 1941. No other industrial company in America has a track record like that. But Mark Pigott wasn't just maintaining. He was about to take PACCAR global in a way nobody expected. If PACCAR's domination of North America is impressive, what they did in Europe is downright audacious. In 1996, PACCAR acquired DAF Trucks, a major Dutch truck manufacturer that had been in financial difficulty. Where most companies saw a sinking ship, PACCAR saw a launch pad into the European market. 2 years later, in 1998, they grabbed Leyland Trucks in the UK. And just like that, PACCAR wasn't just an American truck company anymore. They were a global heavy-duty truck powerhouse. Today, DAF trucks dominate roads across Europe. They've won International Truck of the Year awards, they've been named Fleet Truck of the Year. And PACCAR produces trucks in the United States, Canada, Mexico, the Netherlands, Belgium, the United Kingdom, Brazil, and Australia. Here's a number that should blow your mind. In 2024, PACCAR reported $33.6 billion in annual revenue and $4.16 billion in net income. Their heavy-duty truck market share in the US and Canada hit over 30%, meaning nearly 1 in 3 Class 8 trucks sold in North America was a Kenworth or Peterbilt. And they're not slowing down. The company has publicly stated it's targeting 35% market share. They're investing billions in electric truck technology. They've got over 25,000 employees worldwide, and they're part of both the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100, all from a $10,000 bet placed by an Irish immigrant's son in 1905. Okay, so here's the question you should be asking right now. If PACCAR is this massive, this profitable, this dominant, why does almost nobody outside the trucking industry know about them? And the answer is fascinating. It's because the Pigott family designed it that way. PACCAR doesn't plaster its name on the side of trucks. When you see a Kenworth or a Peterbilt rolling down the interstate, there's no a PACCAR company badge screaming at you. The brands speak for themselves. PACCAR doesn't do Super Bowl ads. They don't have celebrity endorsements. They don't engage in flashy PR stunts. They just build trucks. Really, really good trucks. And they let the products and the profits do the talking. It's the anti-Silicon Valley playbook. No hype, no buzzwords, no founder doing podcast tours, just 4 generations of one family, heads down, compounding wealth at a rate that would make most tech billionaires jealous. And that's maybe the most remarkable thing about this entire story. In an age where every CEO wants to be famous, where every company wants to disrupt something, PACCAR just kept quietly building, quietly acquiring, quietly winning. There's also the business model itself. Remember how I said PACCAR trucks are assembled, not manufactured from scratch? That asset-light approach means PACCAR consistently delivers profit margins that make competitors weep. While other truck makers are drowning in factory costs, PACCAR stays lean, stays profitable, and stays nimble. Plus, PACCAR Financial, their in-house financing and leasing division, is a massive profit center on its own. PACCAR Parts runs over 20 distribution centers with nearly 4 million square feet of warehouse space. They don't just sell you the truck, they finance the truck, lease the truck, and sell you every replacement part for the next 20 years. It's a closed ecosystem designed to extract maximum value from every single customer relationship. And it works. So where does PACCAR go from here? The trucking industry is at an inflection point. Electric vehicles, autonomous driving, hydrogen fuel cells, the technology is changing faster than at any point since Al Peterman first strapped an engine to a logging sled. And PACCAR is all in. Kenworth and Peterbilt have both launched electric truck models. At the 2024 Consumer Electronics Show, PACCAR unveiled new electric trucking technologies that turned heads across the industry. DAF in Europe is pushing aerodynamic efficiency and fuel economy to levels that competitors struggle to match. PACCAR is investing heavily in its PACCAR Innovation Center. They're expanding their Mississippi engine factory with a brand new $35 million remanufacturing facility. They produce over 90% of their trucks for US customers in domestic factories in Ohio, Texas, and Washington State. And here's what really tells you about PACCAR's confidence. They're not just defending their position, they're attacking. Targeting 35% North American heavy-duty market share, expanding in South America, pushing deeper into Europe, every move calculated, every acquisition purposeful. The Pigott family's fingerprints are still all over this company. Mark Pigott serves as executive chairman. The DNA of William Pigott's original vision, providing jobs, building quality, playing the long game, is baked into every decision. Let me leave you with this thought. The next time you're driving on the highway and an 18-wheeler blows past you, a gleaming Kenworth with a chrome grille catching the sunlight, or a Peterbilt with that iconic red oval on the hood, remember what you're looking at. You're looking at 121 years of one family's relentless, quiet ambition. A legacy that stretches from an Irish immigrant's $10,000 gamble in 1905, through Sherman tanks and World War II, through a son's decade-long quest to reclaim his father's company, through a lumberjack who died too young but left behind a legend, through 4 generations of Pigotts who never once chased fame, only excellence. You're looking at a company that built the legs of the Space Needle, poured steel for the World Trade Center, and today controls nearly a third of every big rig on the North American road. You're looking at PACCAR, and now you'll never look at a truck the same way again. If this story surprised you, if you had no idea a single family was behind all of this, do me a favor, drop a comment telling me which part blew your mind the most. Was it the Sherman tanks, the buyback, Peterman's $50,000 factory purchase? I'm genuinely curious. And if you want more stories about the hidden empires operating right under your nose, the companies you've never heard of that secretly run the world, hit that subscribe button, because I promise you this is just the beginning. I'll see you in the next one.